Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is my first video ever, so please forgive me if I failed to explain some of the key concepts. I just want to try and show you how to install an ESXi server or an ESXi host. And an ESXi, if you don't know, is a hypervisor. And what a hypervisor does is that it virtualizes your physical resources in a in a server. So basically, if you have a bunch of physical boxes or servers sitting in your communication room, you go and consolidate all of them into a single box, and in this box you go and create virtual machines. And virtual machines, they're pretty cool. You could one of the great things that you could quickly replace them or upgrade their components without having to power them off, and they all share the same hardware of the physical server, and each of them are isolated within their software container. Um, so we have two types of hypervisors. We have the hosted ones and the bare metal ones. The bare metal ones are the ones that you install on top, directly on top of your physical hardware, like the ESXi. And the hosted ones, sorry, are the ones that you install on top of a pre-existing operating system, like this one that I have here. It's called VMware Workstation, and it's just like Oracle VirtualBox from Java. That's also a hypervisor. So let's just go. And this is a previous one that I have already. It's called ESXi 2. So we're gonna go and create a new one. Let's go to File and New Virtual Machine. Custom Workstation 11. Here we're gonna go and look for the ESXi ISO, and the ISO for the ESXi as well as the workstation. You could download them from the VMware website. They'll give you a trial license. I think it will be good for 60 days. So click next, and let's give it a name. I'm gonna call it ESXi-3, and we're gonna give it one processor, two cores. Next, and 4 gigabytes of memory. That should be good for now. Let's go and do not use a network connection. I'll be explaining this to you in just a little bit. Recommend it. And here, and create a new virtual disk, and let's give it 40 gigabytes of hard drive. That should be good for now. And I'm gonna store it as a single virtual disk. Now this VNDK file, that's the hard drive file. And let's click finish. So now let's go here to our network editor and click change settings. Yes. So if you see here, I have three virtual networks: VNet 1, 3, and 4. So, and if you want, you could have this set up the way that I have it. I have VNet 3 and 4. They're both rigid to my physical network cards. So the reason that I have this set up like this is because I have this network card. I have it on my. They're both connected to my, obviously, to my local host. So this one's sitting on VLAN 100, and that's for my virtualized environment. And this one is for my VLAN 10. That's the home Wi-Fi. So the reason that I have them bridged to these two virtual networks, I have them bridged to my two physical NICs, is because I want to give the virtual machine, in this case the ESXi host, I want to give it a way to communicate to the outside world. Now, if you don't wanna have this, you could just click on host only, and that'll connect your virtual machines internally in a private network. Or you could just click NAT, and they'll go and grab your localhost IP. So I'll just leave it like this. I'll click OK, and let's go to settings and add a new network adapter. So I'm gonna go to custom and select the VNet 4. That's the virtual network that I have rigid to my PCI Express network card. That's the one in VLAN 100. That's the one that I want to have here. So click finish and OK. So I'm gonna power this on, and power on. And this is the installation screen. So we're gonna be installing the ESXi host, and then we're gonna be using the vSphere client to manage this ESXi server. And I'm just gonna minimize this real quick and show you. No, not that. Well, this is my other ESXi host that I have. This machine is in the same subnet. It's given the IP 242, and let's minimize this. Okay, and just so you have an idea of how big VMware is, or just the vSphere, this is what we're gonna be dealing with. So the management, we're gonna be using the, or not right now, but the vCenter server will be the management point for all your ESXi hosts in your environment. So from here, you go and manage your multiple ESXi hosts, and the interface will be the vSphere web client, and the storage. We have multiple storage protocols. For the networking, we have the virtual switches, and you'll soon learn the difference between the standard ones and the distributed ones. You could also do traffic shaping, failover, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and minimize this, and right here. So that's still that's what the console look like. So here we'll press enter and F11, and let's just give it some time. And here, this is the virtual hard drive that was specified earlier. So let's hit enter and use default. And this is the root password. Now this is the password that we're gonna be using to log on to our vSphere client. Oops. Okay. Passwords do not match. Of course. Okay. And give it some time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, um, all these features and all the stuff that is available to you could be overwhelming. You'll soon get familiar with terms like high availability, fault tolerance, vMotion, storage vMotion, and that's what makes VMware so cool. Is that you have all these features, like you could transfer virtual machines from one ESXi host to another without interrupting them, and that's possible because of the high availability features. And let's see how installation is going. Okay, so let's hit F11. Okay. Okay, so that's done. Let's reboot. And where we're gonna be seeing next is a console screen. So the default the default behavior is that it's gonna try and grab an IP from a local DHCP server. And because I have my both of my VLANs, the VLAN 100 and VLAN 10, they're both getting IPs from my DHCP server, which is my Cisco 2821 router. And okay, so this is what the console screen will look like. Okay, as we can see, it surely grabbed an IP from the DHCP pool. So this is gonna be our management IP, the 192.168.0.15. So if we want to change this, we could go and hit F2, and this is gonna be our root password. Hmm. So this is where we would go and configure our management network if we want to change the IP. Let's just leave it like this for now. And okay, and let's change the DNS. I'm gonna add my local DNS server to 45. That's okay. And I'm gonna change this ESXi 3. Okay. Now because I have my because I have my physical NIC connected to an access port in the 3560 switch is in VLAN 100. I'm just gonna leave this to the default, which is not set the VLAN. Now if you have like a trunk port connecting to your ESXi host, you go here and specify the different settings. So I'm just gonna leave this like this and escape, and that's good. So the next thing you want to do, you want to go to your browser and put this IP address. That will allow you to download the vSphere client. That's the client that you want to use to manage your ESXi host. And I already have it, so I'm just gonna bring it over. Oops, not that one. So here, that's the IP. That's a management IP. I'm gonna be using the root user and password login. Now this is the SSL certificate warning saying that we do not trust this certificate. So let's just gonna hit ignore for now. Okay, yes. And this is saying we have 60 days left on our trial license. That's okay. So this is our ESXi host. And if you go here the summary tab, you're gonna see all the what you have in your host. So we have one processor socket and two cores per socket, as we specified when we were creating the virtual machine, and the CPU usage. All if you see all these features, they'll become available once you start dealing with multiple ESXi hosts. And so for now, let's go and hit configuration and take a look at the networking. Now this is what we have here. This is the default V standard switch, the V switch 0. And what you want to keep in mind for now is on your right side, you're always going to have the physical network adapters. So in this case, because I only have one physical NIC widget to the virtual network that I have for this virtual machine right here, this is the only one coming up here, and that's on the right side. That's basically the means to communicate to the outside world for your virtualized environment. And on the left side, you're gonna have the port groups. So basically, we have two types of port groups. The virtual machine port groups is where you go and put all your virtual machines. So and the VM kernel ports is where you it's the one that you use for your management network. Also the vStorage and vMotion, all that good stuff. So for now, let's go and security profile and let's enable the SSH service. So you could SSH to your host and click here. If you see it's stopped, so let's go here and start. Okay, that's okay. And the firewall, we're gonna hit this checkbox. That's okay. So let's go ahead and try to SSH to our box. I'm gonna bring my PuTTY over and use the IP 192.168.0.15. Say yes to this and log in using the root user. So we've managed to SSH to our box, and I'm just gonna show you some useful commands. Um, so like if you wanna see what virtual switches you have installed, so you will do this and standard list. That will list your standard virtual switches that you have. You could also do, just so you can see the physical network adapters you have installed. Those are some useful commands if you find yourself troubleshooting. So let's minimize and show you how to add some users to this. And under users, you go and add one. Say we're gonna add in Panty. That's what I go by the way. They call me Panty. And let's add a password. Now this is a user. It doesn't have any privileges right now. So let's go to permissions and add a permission. If you see here, we have read only. These are some presets. We have read only or administrator. So let's give this guy some administrator privileges. So add and Penny, double click and OK. That's okay. Good. So that's done. So that's basically what I wanted to show you. So from here you go and create new virtual machines, and that's how you go from here. And now once you start installing more than one ESXi host, that's when you're gonna be using your vCenter server to manage all of them, and that's when you're gonna start using the V distributed switches, so you can manage all your virtual machines or all your ESXi hosts and all your distributed switches from a single point. And that's what I want to show you for now. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.